Hello, everyone. This is take number two. This is Mr. Sanchez doing a trick video. This is take number two. I tried this earlier today and the video didn't record and I was really sad. And so this is why the video is coming out late. But let's go ahead and get started. All right. I'm gonna go over the basics of how to graph trig functions. All right. So one thing I kind of glossed over real quickly is I guess I didn't really cover this, but it should. We're gonna graph trig functions, okay? Trig functions look like this. All right, you're probably wondering, like, ew, that's nasty. So it could be just A sine theta, B theta minus C plus D, right? It's not green, it's purple. So you're gonna notice this. So the thing about this equation right here is that this could be sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, whatever. That's not a big deal, okay? But your equation can have any of these four letters: A, B, C, or D. Okay. This symbol here is not zero, it's theta, and it's used to represent angles because what goes inside of a trig function is angles. Okay. A tells us what's gonna happen to our amplitude. B is a horizontal stretch slash shrink. It changes the period. It's one of the hardest things to do in our class in this class in this subject. And then C is the phase shift, so a horizontal shift, whether you're going left and right. And then D is our vertical shift. Okay, but in order to be able to draw these graphs, you need to know what the basics of a sine and cosine graph is. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do level one slash level one problems, okay? Level one and basically the sine and cosine graph. But we gotta start at the sine graph, okay? You're gonna draw this, and you're probably wondering, like, well, some of you guys probably wondering, like, where do these points come from? What exactly are we doing? And I am prepared to tell you guys why we have these points, okay? So I'm gonna draw a little unit circle here just to show us a little reference, okay? So this unit circle is going to tell us everything we need to know. And you don't have to take notes on this part, but it tells us a story, okay? And let me write some points. So we start at 0 degrees, right? And at 0 degrees, we have the 0, 1 in the unit circle. At pi over 2 radians, we have, oh, I'm sorry, this is not 0, 1. This is 1, 0. This one's 0, 1. Pi is negative 1, 0. And then we have 0, negative 1 at 3 pi over 2. And then we end up doing 2 pi. Okay. So what we put inside for our sine is our x values. Our x values here are actually going to be represented by our angles. Okay. So that's what we're putting inside our theta. So when we plug in the angle 0 inside of our sine, you're gonna what you're doing is you're checking what sine of 0 is. Sine of 0 is 0, which is why we're gonna plot a point at our origin. Then you're gonna plug in pi over 2. Pi over 2 is here. Our sine is the y value. So at when you get sine of pi over 2, sine of pi over 2 is 1. And so that's gonna be up here. You're gonna plug in the pi. Sine of pi is 0. So you're gonna plug in a point here. You're gonna plug in 3 pi over 2. You're gonna get negative 1. And this is 2 pi. And you're gonna notice that completes a full cycle. And then to go to 5 pi over 2, you're gonna end up back here, and it's gonna repeat itself over and over and over. So the amount of time to complete a whole cycle, that's called our period. So just from here to here, this part of our graph, that's one period, and one period takes 2 pi. So t equals 2 pi. The T comes from science, from physics. That's how we reflect period, okay? And the graph is going to continue. It's going to keep doing that shape over and over. Okay, and it's going to do that this way also. Okay. This graph has an amplitude of 1. which is why there's a 1 here. I was wondering what I was doing there. There's a 1 here, which means that our graph goes 1 from the midline. What's the midline? Um, our midline is this little horizontal line here. All right, at our x intercept. You notice how we always cross that? That's our 0, but it's also our midline. And our amplitude test, we're gonna go 1 up from this line, 1 down from this line. Then we're gonna go up, over, and it's gonna alternate over and over. Our amplitude refers to how big our wave gets from our midline. So from here to here. And that's basically sine. And then now we're gonna go ahead and graph cosine. Okay. Cosine represents all the x values of a unit circle. So when we're at 0, we're not actually 0 at 0. So when our angle is 0, let me erase these things. So when our angle is 0, cosine is 1. When our angle is pi over 2, cosine is 0. At pi, we are -1. At 3 pi over 2, we're 0. And it just keeps going over and over, and you can repeat that cycle here. But this part here that we will complete from 0 to 2 pi, that is exactly 1 period of cosine. It goes on forever and ever. I'm gonna draw this dotted just to show you that technically it keeps going. But from here to here, that is 1 period of cosine. All right, that's how long it takes to complete our cycle before it resets itself. So from here to here, it's 2 pi, right? So this is 2 pi, and that's our period. And if you're wondering how we got these points, we get them from the unit circle. But the easiest way to remember is it's 2 pi over 4, okay? Because there's always 4 points that we're going to use. This also has an amplitude of 1. So for cosine, we start at our amplitude. So once the cosine also has a midline, and that midline is 0. However, for cosine, we're gonna start at our amplitude, then we go to 0, and then we're gonna go down our amplitude. Right? So we're gonna start 1 up, go to 0, go 1 down, go back to 0, and then 1 up again. And so that's our amplitude. That's how you draw cosine. All right. And let me go ahead and show you guys. So this is the basics. For level 2 problems, we're only gonna worry about I guess level 1 problems. We're only gonna worry about changing vertically and our amplitude. Okay. So let me go ahead and show you level 1 problems. Okay, and then that's gonna be it for this part, and then I'll show you guys a video for a harder part. So we're gonna draw this graph right here, y equals 2 sine theta. Well, this has a couple of things. It has an amplitude, and we know our amplitude is gonna be always be that number outside of our trig function. So our amplitude here is 2. And what else do we have? We have this value here at +1. That +1 is our vertical shift, and we're gonna go 1 up. That also determines our midline. So my midline is gonna be y equals 1. Okay, so we have everything we need. All right, our period and and everything else is gonna stay the same. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and draw this midline. Okay, y equals 1. So I'm gonna draw a dotted line at 1. Now, this is not necessary to draw cosine, or sine, but I like to use it to help me. Okay. Now we look back at our original graph. We started at our midline. So that's where sine is gonna start. It's gonna start at our midline. And in this case, our midline is 1. Right? And then let me use the color green. We're gonna start here. Then you're gonna notice sine goes up 1, but because our amplitude is 2, you're gonna go up 2 at the next point. Our next point is pi over 2. So we're gonna go up 2 from the midline. And I'm gonna go up here. Then sine goes back down to the midline, and then it goes down to below the midline, and then you end up back at the midline. And so this is what sine looks like. It's gonna go from here to here, from here to here. And then the cycle just repeats itself over and over. So there's technically a part here, and you can continue this all the way over here, and I'm gonna draw this part dotted. Okay, but you can continue drawing it. And like I said, this graph goes on forever and ever. And then that's basically how you draw this graph. All I care about right now is having one period of this graph and showing a little bit more than that. Okay. And that's how you draw it. You notice how my amplitude here is 2 because we go 2 above our midline and we're going 2 below our midline, then 2 up, 2 down. It's gonna repeat itself over and over and over. That's how you draw sine and cosine. No, just know if we had a negative here, then instead of going 2 up, we would go 2 down and just draw that graph, okay? But we don't have a negative, so we're gonna have that. All right. Now, this level 1 problem. You need to be able to do this in order to get a D in a class. I know. Mister, you're being so mean. I know. I know. All right. Let's go ahead and look at cosine. This is what happens when you have a negative number on the outside, right? That means our amplitude is the absolute value. So our amplitude is going to be 2. But this negative means you're going to have a reflection across the x-axis. Okay. So that's what the negative means. And then the +3 means we have a vertical shift +3. So vertical shift 3 up. If it says minus, then you would go down, obviously. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw that's also my midline. My midline is y equals 3, right? So you're gonna draw your little points here. My midline. Because that helps me graph, right? Now, normally cosine would start up 1 above our midline, but because our amplitude is 2, we would start up 2. But because we have a negative, instead of going up 2, we're gonna actually start down 2. So I'm gonna start down here. And then we're gonna head towards 0. And then you're gonna go up to positive up 2. So then down 2. And then down 2. And so this completes our first cycle. Our first period. Okay. That's our period. And then you just continue this graph forever and ever. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw some more points in a dotted fashion just to fill out the rest of the graph. Well, all we need is one period, and this period is right here, right? And that's basically how you draw the graph. Kind of ugly because it's the orange and pink. Let me change that. You know what color is gonna make this pop? It's gonna make a light green. So you should be able to see it. This is a period. Okay. And then yeah, this is basically the level 1 problems. And that's all you need to know in order to get a bare minimum D. Okay, guys? And thanks for watching the video. I hope this helps. This is just the basics. I'm gonna do a video where we do secant and cosecant. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye. I think I know how to stop this. It says end meeting. Damn it.